Okay, welcome everybody to the March edition of the Westside Computer Club. Our format tonight will be our open forum, and then we'll have a breakout after open forum and a panel discussion on Internet of Things or smart devices that you have in your home. And we're going to discuss that as like a round table. Everybody can just chime in and discuss what they have, what they do, what they know, what they don't know, blah, yada, yada, yada. Okay? That being said, I'll open up the floor for the first question of the evening. Nobody's got problems. Even better. I do. Oh yes.
Go ahead. Wait. Yeah, I had a problem last week where my modem quit allowing me to get out to the internet. And I spent hours on the phone with Comcast and ultimately determined it had to be the modem, because I was able to attach to the Wi-Fi. You know, the router was working, and so the next day I went and bought a new modem router, and it's of course working now. But then I got an email from the outfit, the other modem router, and they said, well, there was a problem, you know, that you had to, whatever it was, well, I've been rebooting and all that stuff, but you had to, I guess, you know, reset the damn thing. And I wrote back and told them, adios, I'm through with you. So now the problem I have now with the new modem I've got, you know, I've got 2.4 and 5, but they combine the two on one, you know, when I sign in, and it automatically decides which one to send it out to. And I tried to split it up, and every time I set it up, you know, with a different name and password for the 5 versus the 2.4, and then I get out and the damn thing reverses.
So you want a different login password for your 2.4 gigahertz versus your 5 gigahertz radio?
Oh yeah, I had that on the other modem.
Yeah.
Because
that's pretty normal.
Okay.
Right.
But this new
because
one,
I've got some devices where I can't access or activate it without being on the same frequency. And now I don't know what frequency I'm on. It just automatically just picks whichever one's the best.
Yeah. I think it's
a good thing that it goes through, because I've got mine set where all 3 bands are selectable, and the password is the same for all 3 bands. And if I'm talking on my phone and go to the back of the house, it may switch from 5 gigahertz to 2.4.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that you're accounting, but you can't connect it all.
I did that. I deselected it, but then the damn thing reverts back later on. I don't know. I'm going to have to call up the modem, Motorola, and find out what's going on.
So you bought a cable modem router?
Router, yeah.
It's all in one?
Yes, which I had before.
Which is what you had before?
Right.
Okay.
But I also had, on the other one, I also had guest, you know, a 2.4 and a 5 guest with different names and passwords. And this has the capability, but when I set it up that way, then it automatically just some way or another deletes it, and all I've got is just one name, you know.
Did you try doing a firmware update?
Oh yeah, that was the first thing I did when I first got it.
Okay, and have you gone, since it's brand new, have you talked to the manufacturer yet?
That's what I'm going to do next. I'm just wondering if anybody else has had that problem.
I think you're in a class all by yourself.
The original actual Comcast modem routers do not exhibit that behavior.
I've never had that before on any of my other modems. I think it's just unique to this Motorola modem that I bought.
I suspect that if you contacted Motorola support, they would probably walk you through how to make the changes stick. I think probably you're just simply either missing a setting or there's some double save you have to do.
Could
Yeah,
be.
there must be a double save because I selected it and saved it and it looked like that. And then of course I got out and then later on it ends up, reverting back to that one name and password.
That sounds like something is either not saving or else it's still on automatic, and there may even be some kind of a hardware switch.
Yeah. I got a contact.
You'll have to talk to
Motorola.
them about that.
Right.
Or a firmware switch is more likely.
With all the modem and routers I've had, I've never heard of that kind of behavior before. And
Oh yeah, I had that capability on my Netgear. You can select that it'll automatically determine which frequency to use.
must be something real new that I haven't
That's
seen.
newer, yeah. It's on the newer modems
Yeah.
or routers.
I guess they're dumbing them down because they don't think we're smart enough to know what we're doing.
If you could substitute the firmware with DDWRT open source, you'd
Ooh.
get rid of that problem too.
Oh, does that work on a cable modem?
Yeah, the router part is all that matters.
The router part is all that matters. I gotcha.
Yeah, modem
Because
is just changing the frequency and format of the cable input signal to something that the router can handle.
Yeah, the modem is literally just modulating and demodulating.
Right.
Right.
Ooh, big words.
Yeah, but that's what modem means.
This is
And it's a
Modulate,
very
demodulate.
simple.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
simple function, very algorithmic, and they all do it the same.
Yeah.
But it's the router side of it that's different.
Now, my old modem had some sort of switch in there that shut it off, so it wouldn't pass the signal through to the router.
Right. You can do that if you want to use your own router. There's also ways of hooking up routers using Mocha, which would have some benefits for some people and some devices. My TiVo can hook up that way.
Well, anyway, when I upgraded, I went from a 3.0 to a 3.1 on the new modem. So
Yeah,
DOCSIS. Your DOCSIS.
yeah, right.
yeah. So now you're good until 2024. That's when next gen television comes in, and ATSC3, and that's going to be the big year for it anyway. HD Home Run is being updated, and Tablo is running into DRM issues, but they're updating, and there are upgrades to TiVo that will happen. There are upgrades to what's the other one that has the blue and the orange plans?
Sling?
Which one?
Sling?
Sling, yeah. Sling is going to have an upgrade. So there's going to be all kinds of upgrades. Streaming devices will need to be upgraded. Chromecast.
But we're still going to be
So-
working at DOCSIS 3.1.
Yeah, the DOCSIS 3.1 will still be for cable.
Right.
The standard. But what you will get in DOCSIS 3.1, there may even be a sort of a dot version upgrade that'll happen. But in any event, you'll get a different format for the signal and different types of content. And depending on how you're able to hook that up and depending on what your cable company does and what plan you're on, you will be able to have additional content and additional interactions.
Well, my download speeds now are back to where they should have been. With the other modem, it wasn't. It was awful slow, and now with this new one,
Yeah.
I'm getting a real good speed.
Well,
Okay, so this is
based
DOCSIS
upon
3.
what you said earlier, it sounded like you're on DOCSIS 2. That would cause you to have real degradation on speed.
It was DOCSIS 3.0.
I don't
on
think
the
they'll let
old-
you run DOCSIS 2 anymore.
No,
That won't even work on
Yeah.
Xfinity.
But
I know that when I got my cable modem, I had to get a DOCSIS 3. At the time, that's all was available.
Yeah.
I think 3.1 had just come out at that time, and there was no reason to get it. So your 3.1 will allow you to accept a 1 gigahertz connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hardwired.
Yeah.
Or fiber, whichever. But it's not fiber coming to your house on that one, so it's cable. But you could take a 1 gigahertz coming in, which is nice. So what are you subscribing to now? How much?
Just
I'm
400. Just the 400.
400?
I had 800 when I went to Comcast and changed some of, to try to cut down the cost. They ended up downgrading me from 800 to 400, and it's still, everything's working fine.
You probably didn't even notice it.
Well, yeah, I noticed it on the speed, but
The only
Yeah,
place
I haven't noticed it on anything else.
Wayne, I know you're a big gamer.
No.
Minecraft is your thing, and you just need that frame rate coming through, that high bit rate.
it's the upstream that you'll notice if you notice anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot slower.
Okay, anyone else got a new question, problem, predicament? Yes, Dennis.
Let me warm my hand here.
You're
Okay.
over there.
I had some firsts for me this past week. So let me kind of run through everything that I did. And then my questions are kind of at the end. So a couple of weeks back, you guys were suggesting Macrum Reflect. So I downloaded that on the Windows 8.1. And my intention was to back it up before I did anything else to try and upgrade the machine. So I downloaded it, but I didn't run it yet because I still needed to get the hard drive. So then I thought, well, before I even do that, I should, run Windows Defender, full scan, make sure it's all clean before I back it up. And I've been running Windows Defender on it for years, and I never, ever had anything in quarantine or any of the category. I mean, it was always 100% clean, never had anything. So then I run Windows Defender, and for the first time ever, something popped up. And I made a screen print and look at it. So while it was running, and this happens either on the quick scan or the full scan, while it's running, it pops up a little yellow triangle on the screen.
You want to share your screen with us so we could see this?
Sure. Let me get back. Share screen.
It's at the bottom.
green button.
I hit that, and now I'm looking at the.
Okay, usually the upper left is the best one to select and click
one
on
that's already
share.
lit up screen. Okay.
Yeah, and then do share.
Okay. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We got to
There
see.
we go.
There we go.
All right.
There you are.
All right.
Okay, I'm trying to get.
Just a minute. Preliminary scan results show
Malicious.
that malicious or potentially unwanted software might exist.
On your system.
Right.
Okay,
after it's
so
done-
You can review detected items when the scan has completed.
Okay.
So what was detected?
So after either the quick scan or the full scan, what happens after they finish is, up in the right-hand corner, it shows a little message about, your scan has finished.
Yeah.
And then it showed a little message up on the top saying scan is finished, no threats were found. So I thought, well, that's funny. So let me go, and I looked in the history tab, and I looked at the three categories, and they're quarantined and this and that. Nothing, not a thing, nothing was in there at all. So for the first time ever, you guys are always talking about malware bytes. So I downloaded malware bytes for the first time, and I ran that. And after I ran it, malware bytes came up with 5 PUPs, P-U-P-S.
Yeah.
which they call potentially unwanted programs.
That's correct.
Okay, so what were they?
So
Do you have a screenshot?
I do. Let me get to my. Oh, I get to that.
I think you just want to close that.
Yeah, just close the window that shows your other image, and then pull up the next one.
Put it in. Move this little thing here.
Oh.
You've got one. You've got some of the Malwarebytes printed scan things.
Yeah,
Malware
in your browser. You've got two tabs. PUP optional and scan types.
Okay, I just opened this in rich text document. Okay.
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 So can I increase the size here?
Yeah, try to increase it a little bit.
Hit the plus. There you go.
There you
Okay,
go.
just a moment. Just a moment.
Okay.
I've
So
I've
the bottom three items, if you look on the left, they're from YTD Video Downloader.
right.
You get me?
That's one of your pieces of software.
And
Yeah,
that's a
that-
YouTube.
About a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, we had one of our tips and tricks, I think. And I was talking about looking for, trying to record programs and stuff. So Sanford, not to blame you, but we went to a website and Sanford said, "Oh, download that one." So I downloaded that one. And then all of a sudden I see it
It was
pop up here.
KDIP Video Downloader or something like that.
Yeah. So it has three items there. But when I went looking for it on my machine, I found that, it has many folders and a large number of, programs in it. So I'm thinking, well, Malwarebytes said, do we want to quarantine those? So I said, well, I didn't know what to do at the time. So I said, yeah, let me quarantine those. So I quarantined them. And then I didn't know what to do when they were in quarantine. It just said it wouldn't let them run. So I figured, well, okay, I'll just leave it that way for right now. So then I said, let me run my Windows Defender again and see, since these are quarantined, whether something still pops up. Well, when I went to run Windows Defender, it wouldn't start. It said, oh no, you have something else running. So that's when I figured out that this Malwarebytes, this what do they call it? It's apparently the version that premium that runs for a couple weeks or something, premium. So I had to figure out how to turn that off. So I turned that off, and then I ran Windows Defender. But it's still.
You don't need to turn off Malwarebytes. All you need to do is there should be a tray icon that looks like the Batman logo, and you need to right-click on that and go quit.
Oh, let me right-click on it.
Right-click on the Malwarebytes thing and quit. Then you can run Windows Defender.
Then I right-clicked on it, and the only choice it gives me is
it's not there. If you go over to your right, you'll see a tiny little triangle pointing upward on your taskbar.
There it is.
To the right. To your right.
All right.
Wait,
Keep
Far to
going.
the right.
Wait.
keep
Go
going, keep
to
going.
your far
keep
right.
going.
Oh,
There you go.
That
No
little
one-
triangle that
Wait,
points
one
up.
person-
Click that little
Just
triangle.
about there. Down to your right. Down to your right.
Yeah,
Oh,
click
There you
that.
are, right there.
The up arrow.
Now
Oh,
you see
there it is.
Malwarebytes.
yeah.
You can
Right-click.
right-click that and quit.
Okay. Well, okay. So I didn't know how to do it. I searched online. I found some other way. They said you could turn it off. So I did that in order to run the Windows Defender again. So I turned it off.
Okay, either
Then I
way.
ran Windows Defender again. It still popped up with the messages, which I still didn't know whether it was still referring to these 5 things right here or not. But I didn't know that. So let's see, what do I do next? So then later on, I found where in Malware Bytes you can delete the programs. And I was looking at it and I said, well, wait a minute. You guys are always talking about this Revo uninstaller.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I should get that because I know there's more than these 5 things. I found folder directories filled with programs out there. I figured maybe Revo would take care of all of this stuff. So the questions I had on it were, do you think I should download and use Revo rather than trying to tell Malware Bytes to delete these quarantined items?
Do both.
And do I have to take these items out of quarantine?
No.
Before I run Revo uninstaller?
No, Revo will run on just fine.
Quarantine is isolation. Your whole system cannot recognize that they're even there.
You literally do not have to uninstall them at this point in time.
And
They're isolated like in a concrete room. They can't get out.
Yeah, and
nothing can get in. Nothing knows that they exist, so they're static.
And
here's
the thing. With Malware Bytes, you shouldn't even have to uninstall it. Hell, I've had it on my system for more than a decade, probably 2. And bottom line is the one area with the trialware that you have to click on that gear that's on that scan results. It gets into the menu of settings, and you have an account, and you can deactivate the account, and that takes out the extra features that may be bothering Defender, leaving it just as a scanner and a quarantiner. But I think also too on your Defender, you may be getting false positives.
Yeah, because like I said, it didn't find, when it's done, it can't find the thing. It said found nothing.
Right.
So it really,
and there's a lot of programs that are for security purposes, scanners, antiviruses. They periodically come up with false positives. And I don't know of anything you can realistically do about it when you get a false positive, other than what you already did.
okay.
What you've got is a freeware program, or more than one, which contain possible adware. Malwarebytes owns a second program called ADW Cleaner. ADW Cleaner.
Okay.
Run that. If it really is adware, potentially unwanted adware, ADW Cleaner will get rid of it.
Right. That's true.
Cleanly. But the freeware may no longer function.
That's right. That's the one thing with pups. I have several different applications that use pups. I've been using them for years. I'm okay with the pups because without the pups, if I put them into quarantine like you did, those pieces of software no longer function. And the only way to get them back is you got to reinstall them. And then Malwarebytes will flag that again and take it out. There's a setting you can put in Malwarebytes to say, hey, okay, you got pups. Just give me a warning, and then I will look at the name field, and if there's something of a program I want and I feel comfortable with, I leave them unchecked. Anything that I don't recognize, I put a check mark in, and those will be quarantined.
In other words, if you know that it's something harmless, you're perfectly free to turn it into an ignored item.
Right. And what you do there is you go into settings menu, and you go to security, scroll down, and you'll see pups. And it says to quarantine it or take it out, delete it, whatever. You just click on that field and change it to warning,
Okay.
and it'll still list them. But see that blue square with a white check mark will not be there. It'll be just a white square with nothing in it. But if you think it's something that shouldn't be there or you're uncomfortable with, put a check mark in there, and that will be taken out by quarantine. And
Right.
but like Bob says, the piece of software it's related to may no longer run, and the only way to make it run is to reinstall it.
Yeah, now Windows Defender is not as controllable in terms of what you allow, especially if it throws up the warning initially and then nothing shows up after the scan.
Right.
That's always going to be there. So
Right.
you have to train yourself to ignore that. But you ignore that only if you're sure that what's going on is a false positive.
So I probably don't need to, even though it's taking up this space, I probably don't need to worry about all the subdirectories and all the files in them. Just leave them sit there. They're not going to run or anything.
If
Well,
you add up the sizes of those, they're not even a gigabyte.
Well, see,
Okay.
if you did quarantine these pups, that YouTube downloader will probably not work. I don't know what the optional ASK is. I haven't heard of that one before. But whatever that's related to, it may not work.
I found that one, and I may have a better screen print. That one seems to be related to there's something that apparently is on Samsung.
Okay.
Now, when you say Samsung, is your device manufacturer Samsung?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called something about care. They're like advisor care center. I found it's a Samsung.
Yeah.
I think
It's
I
basically
need
their
that.
care center. It may have some phone home features. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of this PUP are just registry keys. And if they are just leftover registry keys, just run CCleaner and they might go away.
Yeah, and I actually found it on the internet on the Malwarebytes site. All right, where'd it go? Oh yeah, Pup. This is on Malwarebytes site. They actually have this one listed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's your YouTube downloader.
Yeah,
that's
a YouTube TV downloader. Okay.
That's the downloader thing they're talking about, and it says pup.optional. That's their name for this thing here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
And it shows what it does is it shows up, and I found this happening before. I never realized why. It says it behaves like adware by showing advertisements in the browser. So yeah, sometimes I get something pop up in the middle of the screen, advertising to buy something.
right. That's all it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't hurt anything to leave it there,
Yeah. Okay.
other than being a little annoying.
Yeah, it pops up.
It's just an
something
annoyance.
Yeah, something like that.
in the middle of the
Almost
screen.
all your freeware will have some kind of pop-up ads getting you to buy their service instead of using it for free.
Okay.
And this is standard, and I haven't found much of anything to get around it. because it's not popping up usually in the browser. It's a pop-up that's in the OS, and it's through the pups. But
Yeah, you're getting a notification.
yeah,
Okay. Well, like I said, this was, I still want to just know how to download and use the Revo uninstaller, and I may not use it for this.
Okay.
But what website do you recommend to download it from? Any in particular? Or?
you can go to nightnight.com. It's all
Night Night.
freeware.
Night. Okay. You guys have talked about that one before.
Yeah.
Night is safe. Okay.
And it's got Revo in there. You just put a check mark in, you download its installer, then you double click the installer and let it run, and it'll download and automatically install whatever you check off.
Okay. They usually have the latest version.
Oh yeah, it's always the latest usually.
Okay.
Yeah, and if all else fails, Revo has their own site.
Dennis, you want to stop sharing?
Yes, sir.
Up at the top.
All right.
Okay, so
Yeah, this is some
Dennis?
first for me. Downloading Macrum, running malware bytes, and looking at Revo, and now.
Yeah, at first I
haven't done before, so I'm getting some new experiences here.
at first I thought you were going to say that Macrum Reflect had tripped a trigger in Windows Defender.
No,
If you have certain additional security features turned on, it will,
Yeah.
and you have to allow it through.
yeah.
Protection software there is there to try and stop bad things from happening. You have to know whether it is bad or not, and it's kind of like flipping a coin and saying heads or tails.
okay, so Dennis,
When I do get to the point of running the Macrum Reflect, I remember I was telling you guys that I had on this machine, it's 440 gigabytes, but only like 40 to 50 gigabytes is used.
Right.
What I need to store it on, do I only need the 40 to 50 gigabytes to store it on?
That's,
You need,
it only backs up what's physically there.
Okay.
you will have a file size that's about 40% of that 40 gigabytes.
Right. See, anything that's empty, it says, I ain't going to copy empty space. That makes no sense.
Okay.
There's only one situation where it will do that, and that's if you have a partition that has to be backed up sector by sector.
Yeah.
That does not occur in NTFS.
Okay.
Then we know where our last victim went.
However-
Okay, sorry, Sanford, what were you saying?
well, there's several things that we're kind of getting to, okay? And I'll hone in on that last topic you had there about how big of a hard drive to get.
Yeah.
Right? So you would want to have, in my opinion, at least 4 times the size of your hard drive that's installed on the machine. And I say 4, it's an arbitrary number. It's how many copies of backups you want to maintain. So if your hard drive is in a round number, 500 gigabytes is the capacity of it, I would get a 2 terabyte hard drive to back that up. That's just my opinion.
And it's on
audio. Can somebody?
Stands.
Yeah, somebody's
Stands
got
audio.
background.
Stands audio. You're
Stands
picking up
audio.
noise.
Sounds like a radio or something.
Yeah, somebody's got backup. Anyways, that's one thing. So I would get at least like a 2 terabyte drive or something. They're relatively cheap. Geez, today probably $50, or less. Okay, and that's one thing. The other thing is I'm going to roll back to the very beginning here. And in the very beginning, we started out with the overall view that this is your wife's machine, that she told you don't mess around with my machine and
That
don't
has
load
changed.
anything on there.
That has
And now-
changed.
And now all of a sudden you're loading 3, 4 different softwares on there. You are treading in really dangerous waters here in regards to wife's satisfaction. Okay.
Hey, if Dennis suddenly doesn't show up anymore, we know what happened.
That's right. Okay, so I throw this out there, Dennis. Be cautious on what you're putting on there, even though you have good intentions. I don't want this to blow up in your face that you started doing this stuff and you can't keep track of what you're doing,
Right.
which is the other part. You need to keep track of what you're doing. So the malware, but the first thing you did is you did a Windows Defender scan, and I've seen that pop up, but then that you had, and then I've seen it go away. It's the end result is really the importance here, is that it may see something, but then as it analyzes further on, it realizes, no, this is nothing here. That's one thing. The other thing is okay, so you put in malware bytes, it's identified a couple of items, it quarantined them. Someone else may be able to tell us when you go and uninstall that free version of malware bytes, the premium version, does the quarantine still stay in place? This is something I don't know. Somebody else is.
That's an option. Especially if you do it through Revo, it will give you an optional checkoff box. Do you want to remove the data, which includes the quarantine? In which case, it takes it out.
Everybody wave. Wave. Okay. All right. We're all waving at you. Yay. All right. That's one thing. And now these are pop-up ads. They're really not anything that's nefarious in context. So it'd be your option whether you leave it there or not. You may inhibit the functionality of that program by quarantining that spot not there. It may give you a problem, and you may have to re-download that YouTube downloader. There's other ones out there that are just as good, if not better. Feel free to check those out. So that's one thing. I mean, that's another thing. But I will also tell you that I put in the chat a link to Microsoft Safety Scanner. Is it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Security Scanner.
Yeah.
Security Scanner. I put a link in there. This is a freebie antivirus scanner that Microsoft has that's only valid for 2 weeks, and you have to download it from their website. You run it as a standalone program. It does not install itself. After it's done running, it will identify more. It will identify more than what Windows Defender will do, as I understand it. It's a little more encompassing. If it finds a virus in there, it will identify that and quarantine it and let you know. There again, it gives you a quick scan and a full scan as an option, or you could do a custom scan.
Yeah,
I run that program next. I would download that from Microsoft, run it, let it run overnight as a full scan if you really felt confident.
Overnight.
Read the results, do what it says. If it says nothing, just delete the program. You literally delete it because it did not install itself. So there's nothing to uninstall. So that would be my course of action to make yourself feel comfortable that there's no viruses or anything on your machine. Then you could move forward on doing the backup, then start doing the upgrade process.
And during the evening, when you are done with the computer, you leave it on, you start up that program, go to bed.
Go to bed.
And then
I do a full scan.
In the morning,
And
it should be done.
I can pull the internet connection and let it run without connecting to the internet, right?
It initially needs to update its database, but after that,
Okay.
you can pull the plug.
Is there what? Well, Dennis, help me here. Why do you feel you need to do that?
I never have ever on her machine. I have never let it stay connected to the internet. It's a hardwire. I just pull the cord all the time, so I figure it might be safer than leaving connected all the time.
With Windows 8.1, you might just as well not be connected more than you need to be.
Because it's so easy to unplug it. I mean, I just do it.
Yeah, there's one other thing about that safety scanner. In Windows 10 and upward, you've got Windows Defender Offline, which fires up from within the operating system. Windows 8.1, I don't think has that internally, but it may. Windows 8 may have been the first one that did. Windows Defender Offline will go outside of the operating system, restart, and do a scan. Now, it's never worked on my hardware. So I have taken the Macrum Reflect, made a rescue media, and added a little folder for scanners. And I put the safety scanner into that folder. Boot into the rescue environment and run a full scan of that safety scanner. That's the only way you're going to catch your C drive from that USB. And it is effectively outside of Windows. So it's going to catch things like rootkits that can hide when Windows is running.
But that's complicated.
It's not really complicated at all once you know how to boot into the rescue environment.
Okay.
Yeah, but,
And just
Dennis isn't
getting the
there
safety
right now.
scanner in there is just copy-paste.
Yeah, but Dennis isn't there right now. He probably doesn't even have the rescue media for the Macrum Reflect he installed.
Okay,
Right.
but
And
We're talking Bob, you hit it right on the head. That's a great, I'll call this an advanced procedure because not everyone knows how to boot into the rescue media and be able to do this work. I agree. That's a good way of doing it. I would suggest for everybody else here, download that safety scanner. Even if you haven't done this in over a year or months or something, download this from Microsoft. Go ahead and run it. Put it on your machine. Let it run overnight.
Did you say it was
You'll
only
have
good?
another opinion on whether or not you have viruses on your system or not.
Did you say it was only good for 2 weeks?
That's
Correct. Yep.
yeah, because
Did you
it,
ever download it again then, or no?
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
yeah,
It's free. It's free. You could download it 2 weeks later and run it. It's just another antivirus product that Microsoft has. That's a standalone product.
For any AV, there are two parts. There's what's called the engine and the definitions. The engine has to be changed about every 2 weeks to catch new stuff, and the definitions are what are known to Microsoft for their scanner.
I will say this, even though Microsoft stopped supporting version 8.1, and they still have been, my Windows Defender still is downloading updates.
That's Defender.
Yeah.
It's not the operating system. It's not your browser. It's not the core of the system. Those are the parts that are going to be affected by the fact it's no longer being supported.
Okay.
that plus the fact that the scanning engine is no longer being updated for your Windows Defender.
So that circles back. Your engine's is no longer as good. So
Yeah,
I would definitely, you're on the right course. I want to touch base on one thing, and then we're going to close this out because we should go on to our subjects, other stuff, questions and stuff like that. You wanted to download Revo Uninstaller, which I think is a great product. Many of the people here in this group like using it. But Dennis, I give you a word of caution on your wife's machine. Don't install anything new, and don't take anything out that you shouldn't be taking out. Okay? That's it. That's all I want to say on that subject. Okay?
Yeah, on Revo, you got to learn the ins and outs of how to do it properly, and if you do it properly, there's no issue. But
there is no issue.
Until then, it can be very dangerous.
And you could be uninstalling something that could affect something else. And again, you don't need to have the hassle from somebody else. Now, if you need to save space on your hard drive, and there's a lot of crapware on that, this is the ideal product to use to help get rid of that crapware. Okay? All right. All right. That being done. Anybody else want to comment on this?
My only other comment is you might also want to clean up with CCleaner.
Yep.
On
Is that Night also?
Yeah, that's an easy one to get.
No, wait a minute. No, CCleaner is
No?
not on night.
Oh.
You have
Nope.
to go to Pritform, I think it is.
Piriform, CCleaner has its own domain now.
Oh, okay.
It is CCleaner.com.
Well, Avast bought it, So they probably
Yep.
created a separate domain.
Yep. But CCleaner is an easy one to get a hold of.
Okay, that was great. Good topics here. Next question, new direction. I have one, I think I've brought this up before on my Windows 10 laptop that I'm currently using here. The credentials for access to my server, every few weeks, the Windows requires me to re-authenticate my credentials. There's no other machine that I have that makes me do this that's on my network. Everyone it all remembers the network connections, but this one is different. Any ideas?
Do you run CCleaner or something like that?
Nope. Not regularly.
Well,
Like
the
that.
only reason I'm asking is CCleaner might be cleaning out something that the server is looking for and can't find it. Therefore, it wants you to re-authenticate.
So the answer is no. That's not the case here.
Okay.
Passwords in Windows 10 do expire, but I thought it was every 30 days.
Even in an intranet network.
Yep.
Well, that doesn't sound right because, how do IT people set up a machine so it always has access to their network? They shouldn't be able to have to go in and re-put credentials in every 30 days.
Actually, their users are instructed that they do have to use a new password every so often.
Okay, I could see that being the case.
But that's a feature that you can turn off.
Okay.
I don't have instructions for how to do it, but you can turn off credential expiration.
Okay.
Yeah. Generally speaking, the only there aren't too many times where I've seen that happen. But when you got a regular password manager, it seldom has them set to expire. They are usually a non-expiring password information. You have to go in and either delete the account or you have to go in and change your password in the account, and then it will ask, do you want me to remember this new password? And if you say yes, then it updates its record.
So that's probably what I'll need to do is uninstall and then reinstall the application that that sets up the permissions.
Could be.
To the server. And then that might be the problem. There might be something missing and, not running there. Okay. New direction here. Is there anyone in this group that would say they're really good at computer hardware?
I'm pretty decent.
Okay. All right. One of the things I want to do is I have an older system that's running Windows 10, and I want to upgrade the processor on the motherboard.
Yeah.
But I'm at a loss at what processor that I can go from and to.
Okay.
Tim, since you are the, since you
I
kind
do
of
this all the time.
Okay, so I'll pull up the motherboard, if you will, and if anyone tells me they don't want me to go into the subject, I can get rid of this. But let me share the screen. Here we go. All right, now this is the motherboard, similar motherboard that is installed on my Lenovo PC, and it's this particular one that has an 1155 socket.
Okay.
Which I think is Ivy Bridge. Doesn't matter what the name is, but it's an 1155. All right.
Okay. Every motherboard, and you got to be precise for the one you have in the machine.
That's what this one is here.
Okay. If you're certain of that.
I'm certain of that because I researched it to find, I don't have any problem with my motherboard, but I found this particular one with these call numbers and version numbers that is up on eBay. And this is just an example of what the motherboard is. It comes currently populated with a Pentium, I think a G620.
Oh, that's a straight Pentium that's below I-Core.
I know.
Or Core I. But
as I said, this is an 1155. I'm trying to see, is the socket. And the 1155s, you know, if you start searching for, I'm trying to see if there's anything else here that's relevant. No. So I was thinking that you could just basically put in any 1155 in there and it should work.
No.
Well, it doesn't.
Sorry.
It doesn't.
No.
Because I wanted to go up as high of a processor as I could to try to squeeze a little more years out of this machine. And because of the age of it, the processors are cheap.
Right. What it is with motherboards, and this is why you got to be real specific, only handle 2 generations of CPU chips. And so as an end result, let's just arbitrarily say that this is a board that handles second and first generation chips. If you got a first generation chip in, you can upgrade to the second generation chip and get a little bit more out of it, not a lot. If it's a third generation, usually you can do the fourth generation, etc.
Okay.
Hang loose for a minute.
But I'm just trying to stay in the same generation, just go up levels in processor capabilities. In other words, can I go to a Core i3? Can I go to a Core i5?
In some
Sorry?
In some situations you can, but not all.
Okay. I'll say if no one else wants to chime in on this, you and I could sidebar this later on.
Right.
This exercise
While
here.
I look at it.
Right. You might want to write down the information that's on the screen
I'm
here.
already on another computer looking at
Okay.
stuff.
Good. All right, then you and I will sidebar this, and I don't want to bore everybody else with my exercise here, what I'm trying to do. And I'll stop this.
Is your video part of the processor, or is it separate?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Is the video.
The video?
Video on some of them, they use the processor, and others they have separate video processors.
The majority of the computers out there have a separate discrete video GPU. But there are some, and you're correct to bring that up, where you got a supersized CPU chip that includes the graphic processing unit. But for that, even if you upgrade that, you get a new video processor with the CPU.
Right. There is no discrete video card installed on this machine. Does it have an onboard video that's on the motherboard? That's a possibility. I didn't isolate or identify that, but that could very well be. Wayne, what are you thinking here?
Well, I just asked a question because
Okay.
because I know those, some of the.
But I don't know how it comes into play in terms of the processor. I would understand how it would come into play in terms of the video card, but not the main CPU. Okay. Tim, you and I will cover this at a later point.
Right.
Okay. And this could be whenever we can address this. We can come up with that. Okay.
All right.
And you could just send me some emails and stuff and whatever you think.
All right.
Anyone else want to cover any questions, problems? Stan, yes, it's great to see you.
Let me see. Am I turned on at all?
Well,
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, you're turned on.
Okay. Well, not that way, but
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad.
You
You
left
didn't
it
mean that.
open.
I don't know if you can see this or not.
I see a phone with a tree on it.
Yeah.
Right. In other words, this is a picture,
Right.
one of several thousand.
Okay.
What I'd like to be able to do is download from this Apple phone, whatever this is, I don't know what brand, it's an Apple, but With my other phone, I could just plug in a USB and all the pictures would come out. This one, nothing happens. I need some kind of
What version of Windows? What first thing?
Windows
How old
phone.
is that phone? What version of phone is that?
Well, I don't have any way to know, do I?
Well,
Yeah.
how long ago did you buy it?
Oh
Years, days, weeks?
no, it's probably a year or two.
Okay, so it's probably a 12 or 13, somewhere like that.
I have no
Okay.
idea.
Or it could be a little, doesn't matter. For one thing, with Apple,
Yeah,
you have the correct cord, the lightning cable.
I have
And-
some kind of cable with the right fittings on it.
Okay. So you need the lightning cable that plugs into the phone and a USB cable on the other end, a USB A, I'm assuming, or a C, whatever plugs into your computer.
Yeah.
When you plug it in, you have to make sure the phone is on, and you have to make sure that you have gotten past the security swiping of the screen or face identification. That is, you logged into the phone.
Yeah.
So the phone is open.
Okay.
When you go and do that, go to Explorer, Windows Explorer,
Okay.
and you'll see listed in the devices there, you'll see your iPhone listed. You click on the iPhone, you may get a pop-up at some point here.
Okay.
You might have to click on the phone and then it'll show you basically what looks like a hard drive letter. And you click on that. And then on the iPhone, you'll have to give permission for the computer to have access to those files.
And how do I do that?
On the phone.
Oh, okay.
On the phone, it's going to prompt you. It's going to say, do you give permission? And you say yes or no. That's it.
Okay.
There's where you're probably running into your hang-up. You can't just plug it in and put it down on the table and think it's going to work. Apple is really concerned over security, so they make sure that you give permission. At that point, you're going to see the DCIM folder, which is the digital camera information folder. That's where your photos are at, and they're listed in a bunch of folders that are in numeric order. I'm going to pause this and just say, this is how you get access to it. But their system is not very well. It's not good. The problem that I have run into and everybody else I know runs into when you're accessing iPhone photos is it will let you access, download, copy a few, maybe a dozen, but it will not let you take the entire content of a folder or all the folders that are on there. It won't let you do it. It's going to error out every time. And you won't know that it errors out. It just stops doing it. Okay? I don't know why it is, but that's the nuance of dealing with Apple on a laptop PC. I believe, I could be wrong. If you have a MacBook, you might have a different story to tell me or tell us. Then it may just work flawlessly.
Okay.
The other issue has to do with the format, because the Apple pictures are not like JPEG or whatever. So when you download it, it has to convert it, or you want to make sure it converts it to JPEG.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's that HC whatever it is, and you can't, your computer won't be able to read it.
Okay.
So that being said, and now I've walked you through on how to get individual pictures off of your phone, because you can do a few. I mean, let's say you took a picture of a receipt or something like that, and I need to get a couple of these off of here. You could do it the way I just discussed with you, okay? That will work. However, it's not perfect by any means.
What do I do with the other 3,000 pictures?
Okay, so that's a different story. You're going to need to get an extra device that you can buy to make this happen. We've talked about this one. Let me see if I can pull this up in my browser in Amazon.
Okay.
Hold on, I've got to find something first. I got a couple products to show you.
I can't read it, it's fuzzy.
Well, because I
Hold
haven't
on.
gotten it yet.
No, I'm reading another.
Yeah, it's
Wayne
Picture
stuff.
Keeper Connect that plugs in. Plugs in onto your phone, one end, the other end's USB.
Picture Keeper,
Yeah,
and what was the other?
Picture Keeper Connect.
Connect, okay.
I have
It
not
comes in-
used this product. This is called QB Pro. And this one, you put a flash drive stick or a little micro SD inside this charger. It's physically a charger.
Okay.
And you plug it into the wall. It's got, power on one end, and you plug this into your phone. No, it doesn't have power on one end. I'm sorry. It plugs into a USB charger. But then the cable comes off of it and goes right to your phone. It will do a backup of all your photos to a memory card that's enclosed in this thing.
So you put the memory card into the QB Pro,
right?
and
And
then
then you plug, there's a port, I think, on the opposite side. Bear with me. Yeah, you can see it here in the picture. You have the charger is plugged into the wall. You plug the QB into the charger, and then the cable goes from the charger to your phone.
okay,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Apple format though?
I'm sorry?
Let's still back them up in the Apple format though?
Sanford does not know the answer to your question. You're going to have to do your own research. I'm just looking for hardware solution and see what, and you do your own research on what's a good product out there. This is just one I had purchased on Prime Day for, I want to say about $40. But I wound up sending it back because I never used it. So I just forget it. I didn't use it. I was going around a different way to do it. Another product.
Dennis's statement about the format.
Yes.
They use HEIV, if I remember right. Format.
HEIC.
Okay, and there are lots of video and picture converters out there. So he would just have to convert them to either like JPEG or PNG or some other format that he can utilize.
I want them in JPEG at the end.
Okay, Windows 10 and 11 have in the Microsoft Store an app that is for HEIC.
Which stands for what?
HEIC is just the Apple format.
Yeah, that's the format like JPEG.
Oh, okay.
And through that app, you can display, save. I might even be able to get it into an editor, and you can also convert.
Can I put it on like a jump drive or something, or a flash drive?
The app itself is going to become part of your Windows, and it will just be one of these things that shows up when you get the start menu. It's a start menu application.
Okay. How does that vary with what is in the cloud, for example?
There are cloud-based services which will do the same thing.
And
All
you
your
could have all
pictures.
you could buy the Apple's cloud service and have all the photos stored up in the cloud in perpetuity.
All the ones that are up in the
I don't
cloud
wanna do
are
that.
the Apple format.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't solve the format problem where
No.
we want them as JPEG.
Now we're assuming
Just one moment, please. Irfan View, I think, handles HEIC as well. And Irfan View is one that in this group we've talked about a few times.
Right.
And it's both a photo organizer and a converter. And if it isn't in the main Irfan View, it may be one of the plugins.
Okay.
IRFAN View. And yeah, iCloud's not a bad idea if you can afford it.
Well, I have one, but it's full, unfortunately.
Again, you need
have to enlarge it, make it bigger.
or start downloading some stuff and put it in your local storage.
Right.
Yeah, well, the problem is I need the images on my computer so that I can utilize them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to just watch them on my phone, you know, and
Right.
that kind of image.
Now, you could see this other product that I have up here on the screen?
The photo stick?
Yep.
Photo stick. Okay.
Yep. These are other devices that, what is it? YseWolf? YseWolf? YSEAWLF. That's the brand. And
What's that OMNI?
I don't know. These are other products that are out there that you could use.
Oh, so that the photo stick has nothing to do with the wolf.
Correct. That photo
Okay.
stick has nothing to do with the wolves.
Okay.
The problem, now, when I've used this, it did capture all the photos that were on my iPhone, but it changed their names, if you will, and their order sequence. And it assigned them all as JPEGs, and it gave them, but mine were already JPEGs. The one thing that I do in my phone is I save everything as a JPEG. I don't use the Apple format for pictures. I've had no problems by doing that.
Well, I need the title along with the JPEG information.
Well, then you're going to have to, I'll say, Stan,
Yeah.
we've given you a couple of products here. You're going to have to research which one will do what you want. I
Okay.
do know that this one, the YseWolf, will rename the images.
Spell that again.
It's right up on your screen.
I don't see it.
See it? Oh, I thought I had these sticks here. You just said you saw it.
Oh, I have the sticks, but I don't find one that looks like it's a wolf.
No, YSEAWLF. That's the brand name.
I'm trying to find it. I don't see it. How
On the
much does
screen?
it cost?
You got a pet picture taking up half of the screen, which blocks out the Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
you're not seeing these here?
I see them now, but I can't tell which one is which.
Well, again, just write down the name and do your own research on it. How's
Well,
this?
right, okay. Is this the one? Oh, YseWolf. Okay, I finally got it. I didn't see that before.
So
Okay.
when I've used this, it renamed all of them, but it pulled all the folders. So on your iPhone, you may have 30, 40 folders, and they're all, but basically what happens is iPhone sets up a file system of the folders being based off of the month, the year, the month, the year and the month makes up the
Okay.
file folder. And for every month, it makes a new folder.
Okay.
And then the files change names within there. But files can span. You can have two folders for the same month if it fills one up for whatever reason. And the order the pictures are in are not necessarily sequentially. So Apple's got a strange way of doing things when it comes with interfacing with a PC. That's all I can tell you on there. So you're going to have to research which one does better. But I was going to get back to these. When I've used this, it was a one-shot deal. When I went and tried to do it again, I couldn't use it because the folders had the same names, and I wanted to overwrite all the time. So, but this, I bought this a couple of years ago. I haven't used it since. I'll go back through and see what's in there, because I've been pulling mine off directly as I need them.
Okay.
Can you use iTunes to facilitate any of that movement by putting it in the cloud through iTunes and then going back into the cloud and pulling them back out and to a different place?
That's what I've done. You know, I've used iTunes to download them.
So you use iTunes to download the photos?
I think I've done that.
How?
I don't remember now.
See, I
been a long
have
time.
iTunes on this particular laptop because that's how I back
vaguely
up.
remember something recently that the photos and iTunes were somehow linked together.
Okay. It's not something I've seen.
I recently found the photo stick that was for a brief moment on the screen. And the nice thing about it is it will search for every single picture on, in this case, my PC. And then and you have options, you have settings, and one of them is to keep the same categories or go by months or dates or who took the picture or location. So you got the photo sticks. And with the settings, I said, hey, keep the settings. The way it'd be the same thing that I had in my computer. And it got every single picture, like about 15,000 of them. And then I found out there were a whole bunch more. You can say, just get the JPG. You can select the extensions, and they offer about a dozen extensions, RAW, GIF, PNG, the whole works. So you can pick and choose. And I'm very happy with it. And I used the older model, and it was just either PC or Mac.
Are you talking about this Yeezy Wolf?
No, it's called the photo stick. You had it on
a photo stick?
A photo stick. And I'm very happy with it. Matter of fact, I needed 250 gigabytes for the pictures they found.
Okay.
And I got basically from 100 gigabytes, it found extra, to about 150 gigabytes. I said, okay. So it does pick everything, and you can sort it out. That's the important thing. It's not all lumped together.
There it is, the photo stick.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you got the settings.
Here, this one does cost more.
It does probably a lot more.
It's $130. So,
Yeah.
if you can,
That's
go ahead.
That's the latest one I bought. I had the previous version, which was a bit cheaper, but it did a great job. And this new version, the Omni, you got one stick that'll do just about everything. Android, Apple, mobile. So looks nice.
I'll say any of these expensive products, wait till Prime Day if you can. It'll be a lot cheaper. Or use Camel and see if it's any cheaper. Yeah, that one hasn't changed at all in price in 5-6 months. So there you go, Stan.
Okay. You want another question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Does anyone know of a good place where I can send laser
cartridges?
The cartridge to get it, like reloaded, or do I have to buy another cartridge? Because I don't want to do that particularly. This is a black and white,
Right.
just black type cartridge. It's for an HP, I don't know, some industrial size printer.
Well, I'll say that nobody has stuck their hand up in the air. That market has dwindled down dramatically.
Okay.
I'm getting cartridges and ink stuff refilled. I don't know of any ink places anymore that refill cartridges, for liquid ink, let alone the cartridges. You're probably going to have to buy a refurbished cartridge. And that will be refurbed. I mean, it's filled.
Okay.
Okay. You're not buying a brand new one. You're going to have to buy a refurbed.
Okay.
And just go and look it up online. Pretty much all of them that are going to show up there are going to be refurbs or something, unless you buy a brand new OEM one.
Well, this is a laser jet, so.
Yeah. And, your mileage may vary on used cartridges. When I did this for work, sometimes it worked great, and other times They didn't. You know, it was hit or miss. But that was decades ago, so things have changed.
Better or worse?
Well, I don't know. I haven't needed to do this in 10 years.
Yeah.
To buy remanufactured. It's a remanufactured. It's not refurbished. It's remanufactured.
Yeah.
Cartridge.
You know,
Or so-
in the good old days, we had a sheet that we could put through our inkjet printer, and it would clean off the excess ink or whatever, you know? And have you ever heard of anything like that? You run it just like a piece of paper, but it's like a blotter or something, and it cleans off the inkjet part.
Didn't
Yeah,
really.
I have heard of that kind of a cleaning product.
Yeah.
I don't know where you get them.
Okay.
The last time
I
I
would
heard of
check
something like
someplace
that
like Staples.
was more than a decade ago.
Who's
Or
Staples?
Staples or who's the other big online place?
Office
Quill.
Depot.
Office
Office
Max?
Depot.
Office Depot, Quill. They might have something like that.
And those would be places to go look for your refurb.
I don't
Cartridge
use any
too.
inkjets, and besides that, I haven't heard of
Laser.
that kind of a product in more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it exists any longer.
Okay, well,
all the technology has changed dramatically, and it's probably something that's obsolete.
Okay, well, it's possible.
Yeah.
But that may clean up the carrier portion of your cartridge, but it's not going to put more ink into it.
Not more. It's a matter of it's been leaking a little bit, and all the pictures are coming out ridiculous.
It's blotching.
Yeah, it's blocked up somehow.
That's a whole head cleaning.
That,
Yeah.
or you could have some, this is a laser printer. So there's a lot of parts to
No,
this.
two different
No, he's
things.
talking about an inkjet.
Oh, I'm
Inkjet.
sorry. Okay.
We've got about 7 cartridges
Mhm.
in it for different colors, and then they mix it up as they go.
Okay.
Those cartridges in inkjet printers, the ink only lasts so long before it starts to basically curdle. And that deteriorates the quality of the output.
And it starts separating too, because it's sitting so long, in an upright position or whatever, and the chemical starts stratifying in the cartridge.
Oh, okay.
Also, depending upon, this is an HP, so the HPs have nozzles on each cartridge, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in tank, they're not a tank.
No, there's on each cartridge.
They're on each cartridge. So the one thing you can do with a cartridge to clean up the cartridge is you take it out, take a lint-free cloth, if you have one, wet it with water, and you put the cartridge down on a flat surface and you draw it like this.
Okay, so you put it on a wet surface, and
You put it on
cloth?
I'm sorry?
Would it be cloth or paper?
Cloth. You
Okay.
want a lint-free cloth.
Lint-free cloth.
Is the preferred way. You can do this in a paper towel, but you really shouldn't.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about the.
Right. It's the cloth because you don't want the lint to come off to get into the orifices. So the
Yeah.
orifices at the bottom of that cartridge start clogging up over time. The longer they sit, they dry up. And what you could do is, like I said, you wet the cloth. You have this on a flat surface like a tabletop.
Yeah.
Put something underneath that, to protect the ink that's going to bleed through this cloth. It's going to go down to the countertop that you're on. So
Yeah.
you put some plastic or something underneath there to protect your countertop.
Right, you got a saran
And then
wrap or something.
as you're doing this process, you'll see lines come down the sheet as you're doing this. And each of those lines is an orifice. The holes at the bottom of the cartridge has little orifices. And as you do this, you start pulling it across, you'll see them open up, or you'll start to see more lines come across until you have almost a solid amount of single color that's coming across there. That will help eliminate any of the blotching or caking that you might have going on there. If you look at the bottom of the cartridge, it probably has some kind of caking going on there from sitting so long. And these things don't last forever. Just sitting in the printer, just sitting there, it dries up. And that ink starts sitting on the platen underneath. It starts accumulating everywhere. As the heads start doing this, it's picking it up and dragging it across. You might have to do a lot of cleaning inside there. They're usually water, but you can use alcohol to clean that up with, like isopropanol or something.
Okay.
Nothing else for aggressive.
Dilute the alcohol with a little water.
Yes, yes. Definitely dilute it with some water. Even if you use the 70%, cut it down to like a 50-50 or something like that. But that alcohol will help dissolve any of the dried solids that might be in those offices. So you could pour that alcohol water solution on that cloth. And again, you're doing this as a drag across one way.
Yeah.
Never rubbing, no back and forth ever. Don't shake it. Okay. If you feel you need to mix it, you can maybe do this a little.
Just like a cards, just go
Yeah,
back
you're
and
kind of
forth.
rocking it a little.
Okay.
But, you know, you don't want to be shaking it up. And again, you're going to do this motion here. This is, you know, I used to do that at work all the time with our printers. We had to do that to get more mileage out of them. And they'd clog up all the time.
Yeah.
On your older laser jet, when you're looking for toner, I've had some good luck with going on eBay and a couple of the sites and searching for, and I found original equipment box stuff that's out of date, naturally, but it's also pretty cheap. And one I ordered from one company who was in Canada. They shipped it. I never got it. I notified them I didn't get it. I got it. They turned right around, boxed up another one, and sent it. And within 2 weeks, I had two of them. and the cartridge retail price on that particular printer at the time was around $90, and I think I paid $24. And it came out. They worked fine.
Yeah, I remember with my old LaserJet printer, I used to just take the whole thing out and rock it a little bit, and I got more from it.
Right.
You can do that for a while.
Those you would do this rocking this way. You know, you'd rock it side to side, and what that
Left
does
to right instead of front to back?
Correct. The front to back, all you're doing is you're changing the way it dumps. What it does is it dumps the dry powder ink onto the drum and then collects it at the bottom. So if you're doing this back and forth, all you're doing is dumping the ink onto the drum. But if you do it side to side, you're moving it within the cavity in the storage compartment.
Strange, because the instructions told me to do it just the opposite.
This is what I know now. Yours, again, your mileage may vary. This is maybe your cartridge is built differently, but that's the way I understand it to be.
Kind of shake them slowly, but the other thing is you don't want to be too vigorous, or it'll start to leak out around the drum, and then you'll get huge splotches, and you'll end up having to try to clean the drum with.
Right. Now the drums, you can clean those. You can clean that with isopropanol alcohol, but do that in a very dim lit room. Not a lot of light on there, because when you expose that photoconductive drum that's on there, you could burn it. You could destroy it by burning it. So by exposing it to light. We need to cut this subject short here. Anything else? Okay, good, because we need to go into our main thing tonight. We were supposed to have more time with this, but I thought we'd do SmartThings, Internet of Things, and just kind of make this as I call it a panel, but just a group discussion on what they have, what they're using, and why they use it. Jeff, do you want to start out here with something?
No, because I really don't have anything. I came here to get information about it. And,
okay.
I've got Raspberry Pi that I'm looking to use for some things, but I'm getting ideas.
Okay. David, why don't I let you start?
Okay. Well, this would include reasons why we don't use something I'll start with that first, since my list has everything that we do use. We don't use IoT devices for life-critical functions such as controlling a thermostat in a home up north here, for the simple reason that software updates, firmware updates can be pushed to the device, and there are documented instances on the internet where Nest thermostats, for example, have been bricked or hacked by they don't know which, but when they stop functioning, pipes freeze and people freeze and things like that happen. So IoT devices should be for non-life safety applications, in my opinion, based on the lack of security and the lack of concern by the manufacturers to secure these devices. So starting out with that, my IoT devices, we have 9 Nest smoke alarms. They're CO2 and smoke alarm combo type units that are configured by Bluetooth on your phone, and then they attach to Wi-Fi, your access point. Those are line powered, so we don't have to worry about batteries. They also have some sort of battery in them for short-term power outages. I don't know what the battery life, how long it lasts when the line voltage goes away. We have 2 Nest door cameras. The first generation version, which was before Google bought Nest. Before Google bought Nest, when you subscribed, you got real-time video, and then you paid your subscription based on how many days you wanted in the cloud. So if you don't pay, you get free like 8 hours, and then if you pay like $30 a year, you get 5 days of full video. Not motion detected clips, but full video in the cloud, and then you view it on your phone or on your desktop. After Google bought Nest, and this is one of the disadvantages of branded IoT devices, you're captive to the provider. Nest is no longer Nest. Google has created their own replacements for the Nest devices. And those, the door cameras in particular, will only record motion detected clips, meaning if the camera is triggered by a motion, it will record a block of a clip and then send that up to the cloud. So you don't get full video continuously. You're relying on the sensitivity of the motion detection of the camera to transfer the clip up to the cloud. So we don't use those. We're on the old first generation for that reason. Okay, so we have 4 Amazon Fire Sticks, 3 Sling Mini streaming devices that are set up to an AirTV NVR, which is a network video recording device. This thing is like the equivalent of like a Tablo that was already mentioned. It receives your over-the-air signals and makes them available through the streaming devices and also your app on the phone. And you don't have to be at home to watch the recorded video either, which is kind of nice.
What was that device again?
It's AirTV, and it's Sling. If you go to sling.com, there's the product line is there. There are multiple AirTV devices depending on how many tuners you want. The most recent device is a 4-tuner unit, meaning it can record 4 things simultaneously onto a 1 terabyte drive. The 1 terabyte drive is not expandable, unfortunately, even though it has a USB port on the back. And from what I'm seeing, that's due to a firmware limitation at this point, which they may or may not fix. But that device resides on your Wi-Fi or on your local network, and you can record just like a TiVo or a Tablo type device. Just bear in mind that this Sling implementation, AirTV, is a subsidiary of Sling, which is a subsidiary of Dish, which means it's a media company. And so the functionality with regards to commercial skipping and those kinds of things can be, and also program expiration. That is all subject to change. Right now, they're not restricting it, but they could in the future. It could be like an Amazon where you, for certain types of programs, they're not going to let you skip commercials and things like that. I'm just saying what usually happens in the media industry when media companies own technology. They start distorting the feature set in ways that are not advantageous to the customer. I have 2 access points in the house. Those are not IoTs specifically, but they feed all these other devices. We have a Kohler shower controller. They call it DTV. It is a device that electronically controls the shower, and it's kind of nice because it regulates temperature and all that. But it is an IoT. It has a web interface. You can look more about it on the Kohler website. That was my wife's idea. I don't like mixing electronics and plumbing. I just think it's a bad. Because plumbing will live forever, like copper, if you use copper. But electronics changes so frequently. I'm just waiting for bad firmware to come someday, and then our shower system gets bricked. So
DTV, Doug, Tom,
yeah.
Victor?
Yeah, Delta Tango Victor.
Delta Tango.
Yeah, it's a shower controller. You can you can do a lot of stuff with it. It's you can stream audio off of your phone in the shower if you choose the audio option. Anyway, I'm not trying to sell Kohler. I'm just saying what my wife put in. We have four webcams that we use to watch the cat. They are Wanview devices. These things, the point I'm trying to make here is when you buy a webcam, you can buy something that's captive to a provider like Nest, which I already mentioned, or you can buy something that's kind of open that you can log into the website and configure. And with these Wanview cameras, I have an app on my phone that I can use locally or out when I'm traveling and view the cameras remotely, but I had to open ports in the router to do that. So that's kind of like, advanced. Whereas if you use Nest or Amazon to do your cameras, it's going to have a server to use the network address translation built into your router so that you don't have to configure anything. You just get the devices set up with an app, and then it takes care of the networking.
Whose cameras were those?
Those are, it's Wanview, Wansview. They are based on a more standard and open implementation. You can use them with different apps but you're actually like setting up IP addresses and ports and things. If you're not comfortable with that, that's a level of involvement that you would need to be able to do that. So I'm trying to show what that looks like, and the cat is right there. It's our cat cam basically. We only need to know how much food the cat has and what the 3 primary sleeping places of the cat. So I'm gonna put more in because the cat moves around a lot, but obviously not in the bathroom. But anyway, so I have a Google Home and an Amazon Alexa with a plug. The Amazon plug is kind of neat. We just did that recently, and the way it works is exactly what it is. Like you can say, Alexa, turn on, and then whatever you call the plug. And you can put as many of these things in. It's scalable. I haven't had any issues with it. Again, if a lamp is not a life safety issue, if it failed to work or worked when you didn't want it to, it's not going to kill anybody. The plugs have certain current ratings and stuff, so you may want to observe that if you're using a larger appliance like a heater or something. I actually wouldn't use a heater because that would be like a life safety thing possible. All right, and then I have 4 smart TVs that I don't consider smart because, televisions, once they're manufactured, the manufacturers stop updating them, and for the most part, you can't install the apps that you want. You end up using a streaming device to get the apps that you really want. The apps for the TV seem to be like frozen in time. Whenever we've bought a TV, even the Samsungs, the app set that's there is relatively frozen. I mean, you try to install other apps that were made available after the TV was released, and it either won't be there in the App Store or it won't let you. It's just I don't see smart TVs really keeping up with the streaming devices as far as the number of apps that are available. And this has a direct bearing on what streaming services you can get. You know, if you can't install the Paramount Plus app, you can't see Paramount Plus on that particular device. So that's why we have so many Amazon Fire Sticks and Sling Minis, the Sling streaming devices, because of Sling doesn't let you watch Hulu, for example. They banned Hulu, so even though you look in the store, you can't. I've never tried to sideload Hulu. That's on my list of things to look at to see if I can do that. You know what sideloading means? Sideloading means you go to the App Store and the app you want is not there, but you know that the app is compatible with the version of Android that's running on your streaming device or on your phone. So sideloading means you're bypassing the store. And that would be like you go into the developer mode and then it'll say, yeah, you're a developer, you waive, you know, the guarantee and all that, and you can load from APK Pure. There's a couple of Android TV websites where you can download apps on outside of the store. So just like you do in Windows, you load applications from outside of the Microsoft Store. The last thing we have, which I think is cool, is an AirPlay client or server. I'm not sure which it is, but it's a DLNA and a universal plug-and-play type device. My wife and daughter have iPhones, and they can AirPlay to this thing, which is hooked up to our outdoor speakers. I don't have an iPhone, so I have to use an app called, I think it's called AirPlay, something like that. Yeah, Audiocast. It's the app that this particular manufacturer, AirPlay, it's the AirPlay M5, and it's in Amazon. It's like $30. But what it does is it takes the audio that you're streaming from your phone. It's like Google Cast for audio, and you can use it to drive your speakers anywhere, you know, around the house. So that's the last IoT that we have. I really like the Wi-Fi AirPlay much better than Bluetooth because we get like 20 feet away from the receiver, the Bluetooth receiver, and it starts cutting out. And our patio is longer than 20 feet. I mean, you know, we could be anywhere out back and we want to be able to play. And so the Wi-Fi coverage is much bigger than the Bluetooth coverage. And that's where the benefit of AirPlay for audio comes into, you know, that's what the benefit of it is. So, all right, so that's everything that I
David,
have.
that was fantastic. First thing, what state are you in?
I'm in Illinois. I'm in Oak Brook right now.
I mean, you made it sound like you're way up in Maine or, you know,
no,
Minnesota.
Well, we're up north enough that the pipes would freeze if the Google or Nest thermostat shut off. So that's what I was referring to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So.
Dave, that was great. Is there someone else in the group that would like to talk about their IoT devices? Yes, Tim.
Offhand, I have a Vivint security system, and it's got a doorbell video camera attached to it. I can see it through the security panel, or I can see it on an Android or a iPhone. I've done it on both. I also have Wyze devices, W-Y-Z-E. I have bulbs that I use in some lamps. I have the plug device. That means you plug a device into it and it turns on and off electricity via Wi-Fi signal. And same with the bulb. It through Wi-Fi, the app will control turning on and off the light bulb. I also have a camera. It's graded for indoor only, but I seldom use it. But when I was using it, it worked just fine. I even accessed it when I was visiting relatives in Ohio, and I live in Hammond, Indiana, so I was able to see it just as if I was there at home. I also play with Raspberry Pis, though I haven't touched them in a long time. I have first, second, third, fourth gen. I have Pi Zeros. I just picked up a Pico. I have a project in mind that I'll get to before I pass away. But first gen Raspberry Pis, I was using it with a special housing that I bought and running Kodi on it to be able to get videos that I could watch on my TV. And this predates Fire Sticks and Rukus. I do use a Roku. In fact, I've got three of them. One's a Roku stick I haven't used in quite a while, along with a Fire Stick. And I have a Roku 2, which looks like a squarish hockey puck. And Roku is desperately trying to get me to buy a new device, especially 4K, when my TV set's only 1K. So that makes no sense to me. And I don't need the voice controller that they have, or the privacy with an earbud. So, but I do have another device that's a Roku. It was originally a special device, and it's strictly for a 1K TV. But it's a much newer device than what I'm playing with now. So I used to also have WeMo devices for light bulbs, and they give me the ability through my smartphones to be able to turn on and off a couple different lights in the house. And I have right now the plug-in for Wise. I've got one in the kitchen and one in the bedroom to control devices. I have one bulb right now here in the living room that's on right now that works via the Wi-Fi and an app on the smartphone. So they all work fine. I don't have a smart thermostat like Dave was talking about. I've been a little leery of it, not for the reason that Dave brought up, which is legitimate. But it's a case where I find that a lot of the programmability in more modern thermostats just doesn't work right for me. I've tried it before Nest even existed, and it just in my house, I live alone, so it just doesn't seem to work the way I would like it to work. So I avoid programmable thermostats, which Nest thermostats really are. It's a programmable thermostat, and you control it though through your smartphone. That's all I have right at the moment.
Wayne?
Yeah. Well, over 40 years ago, I started out with X10. I think you probably remember I gave a presentation on that some years ago.
Yeah, about 40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I was using it with a color computer to program it.
Ooh, a Coco.
With an RS, what was it? The not an RS, but anyway.
RS-232?
Yeah, yeah, that was before PCs were out. But anyway, I still have 4 of my lights in the house that are controlled with the X10. But now I've got a little programmable thing that I can control that works on Wi-Fi that X10 came out with. So instead of being able to use the old computer thing, it's actually a new little box that plugs into the wall that I can access and turn on and off the lights that way. I also have 3 other lights in the house with BN Link, which I can turn on and off, but they're programmed, so they go on and off whether I'm home or not. The others do it too. Uh, I've got 3 garage door openers that I can monitor. I can open or control by my phone. I've got a sleep number bed that I can control by my phone as well as locally. My wife and I both have iPhones. We both have iPads that work on the Wi-Fi in the house. I've got a color thermostat that's on one of the thermostats in the house that's I can control from my phone. It's programmable. I have an X10 camera that I've got that's looks out over the front of the house that I can control. I can actually look at from my phone. It will record up to about a month's worth of data, and it's continuous. It's not activated by movement. Trying to think what other things I've got. Well, anyway, I've got over 20 some odd items that are hooked up to the Wi-Fi system, and that I can, a lot of them that I can control from my phone. I've got three wireless printers in the house, so I can print from anywhere in the house from either my phone or iPad or laptop, and of course several laptops that work off of Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of things that are working in the house that work off of Wi-Fi.
Thank you, Wayne. Eldo, do you have anything you want to chime in on?
No, nothing. I'm old-fashioned so far.
Okay. Harry?
Oh, no, nothing special.
Nothing? Tom O'Connor?
Nothing to say.
Okay, all right. I'm kind of just going down the line. I didn't want to pick on anybody. Bob, do you have anything?
The only things that I have that are Wi-Fi connected are streaming devices, and I have my TiVo, and of course the Comcast boxes. So I don't really do much. I've only got 800 square feet here, so I can walk to almost any place in the apartment in just about 3 steps. I don't even control my lights when I'm coming in from outdoors.
Okay, thank you. Dennis?
The only thing I have that's Wi-Fi connected is this. I didn't say anything. My son gave it to my wife for Christmas. It's a photo frame.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how it turns on, but oh, there it goes. Somehow you load up pictures on the internet somewhere, and what's the name of this thing? This is a Nixplay, Nixplay, and she uploads pictures to the internet. And then my son can also upload them because he has access to the account. And you can set how much time you want each picture to display. And we've got a lot of pictures of our one and only grandchild on it right now. And so my wife's been playing with it. I really don't know that much about the darn thing, other than it's Wi-Fi connected, and she's loading up pictures somewhere, and they're just playing. But she seems to like it. So,
That's good. You get to keep connected with your grandchild.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's any security issues with it. I never really thought about it. We just, like I said, just got it at Christmas, so I really don't know that much. Like, am I having any open issues anywhere? I don't know.
We have Linux Play, and it's just a login to a cloud account, and everybody can share the same account, or they can have different accounts, and the device does not have to be in the same network as the device that has the app uploading the pictures, so that if you want to give your grandparents or relatives a photo frame that just automatically updates, you can do that remotely through the app on your phone. It's all driven by the app in the phone. I think the website part has some functionality too, but we always use the app to change the pictures. So we can delete them, add them, things like that.
My wife uses some kind of an app on the phone to run the thing somehow. Yeah.
And short videos too work.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So what has Sanford got going on? There is something I wanted to add, though, as a point of information to David about your Nest Protects that you're running.
Yeah.
Those are the CO, carbon monoxide and carbon monoxide and smoke detectors.
Yes.
The one you have there, I'm assuming, is hardwired for power.
Yes.
But the interconnectivity is not hardwired.
No, I don't think there's a...
There is none. There's no third wire that runs from unit to unit.
I don't think there's an Ethernet port. Yeah, it would be nice, but
it's not an Ethernet port. It's a connectivity port that runs, it daisy chains the carbon monoxide detectors together, or the smoke detectors together. And I'm just letting you know this. I had wound up getting 2 Nest Protects this year for $5 each. They were brand spanking new.
Okay.
The reason I got them at a garage sale for $5 is there was absolutely nothing wrong with them. The guy that bought them told me he just put them in a few months ago. Then they went and did a major remodel on the house, and because the house is being inspected by the city inspectors, they were told by the contractor to remove those. Put them in afterwards if you want. But it is a requirement in our current counties that you and I live in. I'm in Kane, you're in DuPage. Or yeah. It is required by law that the smoke detectors be hardwired together and not using a network link between them. Just so you know that. That's why he had to get rid of them, because he was going to have a home inspection by the city inspectors about the work that they had done, and they're going to find that those detectors do not qualify as being legal. Okay.
If they're dependent on a Wi-Fi that might not be there.
That's correct. And I don't know if this is state law or if it's county or what, but I do know the counties that you and I are both in. That's kind of why I was asking you where you were at, because I was kind of perplexed on this.
Okay. Yeah.
And just so you know that, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means in our state they have to be hardwired together. Mm-hmm. If you have a hardwired smoke detector that's running on AC power, it must be interconnected to the other ones in the house. So if you have one in the basement or one upstairs or wherever you got them, they're supposed to be hardwired. Take that, put it back in a cabinet wherever you want. Just note that when you go to sell your house, take them out, because they won't pass an inspection.
Yeah.
How do they hardwire? You mean they have to run wires all over the house?
When my house was built, including my previous house too, And the smoke alarms were installed in the house. There's only one on each level that was required by law to be hardwired to the next level. You could have battery-powered smoke detectors all you want. Those are not an issue. It's the ones that work off of AC power have a third wire that runs and interconnects all the units together. So if one goes off, they all go off.
Wow.
Okay.
I thought they could interconnect them with either Bluetooth or whatever.
You can do that, but that's we're talking code here.
Yeah.
Fire protection codes.
Wow.
All right. It's what the code is. The code demands a third wire. So, David, I just thought I'd give you that FYI. I found this out again. I just got these this summer, and I found it out because somebody else had that problem. Anyways,
okay.
I also am running the Nest version 2 thermostat. That's not the version 3 that's out, the white one. I have the silver one. I've been running this for 12 years. I've had 0 issues with the unit. It has never had a firmware update, and it gets them, and I don't even know that it happens. I've never had a problem with it losing connectivity to my network. I've never had a problem with it ever getting hacked. I've never had a problem with my furnace not running with relationship to the thermostat.
Yeah.
Isn't the thermostat, the furnace doesn't run, but not related to that. So I just thought I'd tell you, practicality, I've never seen it. I used to own a second home, and in that home, I put in a TCC Wi-Fi enabled thermostat, and it's been in there for 5 years. It's still up and running to this day. No issues with that thermostat whatsoever. And that is out in Western Illinois where they don't have good, reliable electricity. It goes out probably once a month. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just letting you know I've not had a problem. And that house only runs on it's electric heat too. So for what that's worth. I'm running the Blink doorbell and cameras. What I did is when I bought the Blink system, Blink is the Amazon's Nest version. That is, when Amazon bought Nest, they came out with their own camera. They called it Blink. The nice thing about the Blinks is you do not have to pay for a subscription. What you do have to buy, which you get when you order the thing, is you get a module that comes with it. And this module, or you may need to buy it separately, it will store or save your video clips for you, but they're only clips. They're not full, like you were reflecting to on the Nest. But it's done locally, not remotely, and I have access to them anywhere I have internet. So for what that's worth.
Yeah.
And it works very well for me. I think the Nest is a better system. The Nest camera system, I think that's better than the Blink, but the Blink works pretty darn good. All right. I'm also using, and I may pronounce this wrong, Fiat light bulbs. That's F-E-I-T. They're a smart light bulb. I've had moderate luck with those. I put those in lamps throughout the house, and I can control them via our phone, change the intensity, the color, whatever you want, the colors, and schedule it, which is nice. I can set this lamp to turn on and off at certain times. Instead of using a smart plug, it's built into the light bulb itself. In terms of an inexpensive indoor camera, the one that we got was a EUFY, is the brand name, camera. And they're inexpensive, very good quality. We use that for spying on our animals when we're gone. We move it wherever we want it to go. It's a fixed position camera. It's not a pan and tilt, so it's a fixed position. And you could have it set up for its motion detection, blah, blah, blah. But it also lets me talk 2 ways on it. Right. So when my dog is doing something and I need to give her a reprimand over the camera, I can do so. Well, the dog knows to look for the camera now, because when it gets tripped, there's a little tick that you hear when it turns on and off. So dog knows what to look for. And I've got to make this kind of quick. I have an Atomi smart plug. Those run very well. ATOMI. Those are regular outdoor plugs that I use for my holiday lights that I'm plugging in outside, or it could be a fountain that I want to run outdoors, something that I want to set up a scheduling, but I could have multiple plugs plugged in and tie them all together to run on one schedule. That's a nice thing about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I picked those up at Aldi. Aldi for pretty cheap when they were on sale. Another item that I have is made by a company that uses the name SmartLife. And I have a temperature and humidity sensor that I put inside my freezer. So I have a chest freezer, so this way I know if there's a problem and that thing shuts off. By the time it thaws out, I'll get an alert, but it's already starting to get too late for that. I also am using water leak detectors throughout the house that also tie into this SmartLife brand. So I positioned those by my sub pump, by my water softener, furnace, wherever I know I might have a potential for a water leak. I put it there and it will send me a notification whether I'm home or not that there's a water leak in the house. I think that's probably a really important thing to get. Alexa, I'm using Alexa's, Fire Stick, a D-Link camera. That was my earlier cameras that I got. That's a very simple one. Of course, the HP wireless printer, Apple TV, and NVIDIA Shield for my streaming devices. So that kind of went through it kind of quickly. I will ask, does anyone have questions about these products or things we're talking about or why we use them?
The EUFY indoor camera.
Yes.
So that doesn't record video, but you just turn it on wherever you are just to see what's...
There actually is a memory stick inside there that you can, or not a memory stick, I'm sorry, a micro SD slot that you can record locally on, I guess.
Yes.
Honestly, we don't record, we don't leave our cameras plugged in that are internally in the house. My wife really doesn't like cameras in the house. She just is opposed to that concept completely, with the exception of this application when we're watching the animal. Then we'll plug it in and turn it on at that time for watching. So if we go and we want to leave for part of the day, put the dog in his cage and we could see her in the cage.
About how much is that?
Oh, that was less than $50. It was a very reasonable, very high quality. Let me see. EUFY security camera. And the one, I'll tell you the one we got. There you go. And I'll share my screen in just a second. Okay. So it's a simple pedestal mount. And it looks like if you buy it today, you get an $8 coupon, so it's like $35. It's a 2K, very high resolution. It works great. And as I said, it has night vision and it does allow two-way conversation. Okay. And if you look right here on the side, I don't know if you can see it, but right behind the logo, there is a micro SD slot. But I've never used it for that purpose. Anybody else have questions? No.
Yeah, going back to the smoke detectors for a second here.
Going back to the what?
Smoke detectors.
Yeah, smoke detectors.
Okay, I've got the battery-powered ones, and when one goes off, it tells me where there's a problem. It seems like it's counterintuitive that you want them all to go off at one time, then you don't know where the problem is.
Again, this is only the wired units, hardwired units that are installed in your house as per fire code. So even though it's contradictory, All the fire department wants you to do is you hear an alarm, they want you out of the house. That's all they want. They don't care about you identifying and trying to fight the fire. They want you out of the house. That's the best I could tell you. It's code.
And that makes sense. You know, I mean, I can see from where they're coming from.
Right.
But it does say, I'd rather protect my house.
I agree. And that's why I do not rely on one smoke detector per level. Okay, I have wired in my house, one per level. And that's the law. I think that's the code, is you have to have a hardwired smoke detector at each level of the house. That is habitable levels. So you have a basement, it's finished, should have a smoke detector, a wired smoke detector in there. If you have a 3-story home, it's got to be up at each one of the levels. But this is the only thing that I know about the code. I've never read the code. I just know what I've been told. So please use your own investigation into what the code is and why in the necessity of subscribing to the code or doing what the code says. I just know that this was when I was at a garage sale. This is what the guy told me, who I bought them from. He says, I just put these in. They're brand new. Literally, they were brand new. They were, I think he had them in there 6 months or less. $5 each. They're what, $200 a piece?
You made out. You really did.
That's one of the good deals. Every year I'll get one really good deal at garage selling, and that was it. So that's it. I think we covered a lot of good topics here. Anyone else want to fill in the blanks on Internet of Things? Are we going to run out and get them?
I'll just say, oops, am I? Oh, okay. When selecting these products, there's been a whole bunch of vendors mentioned. Some of them are only controllable by their own apps on the phone, and others will integrate with Alexa or Google Home or, these. Yes, and Wise, for example, I was looking at the smart plug, for example. I'm like, I don't know how Alexa communicates with the smart plug. So I did some research, and it turns out Wise, for example, will integrate, says it works with Alexa, works with Google Home, but they expect you to control and provision it with the app. And then there's a bridging capability that has to be set up on the cloud. Their cloud has to talk to the Amazon cloud to your Alexa account in order for your voice commands through Alexa to get over to that plug, that Wise plug. So just be aware, if you're, depending on how you want to control your device, I chose the Amazon native plug so that it talks directly. We don't have this bridging going on through a third-party cloud and the potential delay or non-functioning extra hop to break type of thing going on. But that makes us more captive to Amazon, so it's a trade-off. I just thought I'd bring that up.
David, that's a very valid point. You also hit on something earlier on when you were talking about TVs, smart TVs, and the fact that basically when you buy it, it might be supported for a year or something like that, but that's it. It's whatever's in there is baked into it. And I concur with you on that. A lot of those things wind up becoming disabled over time, or you have to side load in something to make it work. And they're under horsepower processor wise to do a lot of things that are needed on there. To further that, I have found that some of the companies that you buy some of this stuff from at a discounted vendor, let's say Aldi per se, I bought a smart plug from them years ago, and I think they shut down those servers. So when I go and want to try to reactivate and use that smart plug, it will no longer function because it can't talk to their servers. When you go to log in on the app and you say, yes, turn on the light, it's really not going from you to the device. It's going from you to their servers, and your servers are telling that device via an IP address to go and do whatever the action is. Yes. If their servers are shut down because that company never made enough money, that device is shot and gone.
And the reason they use that architecture is because the common man who buys them are not able to open ports in the routers. They always have to hop through the cloud in order to get around the network address translation in the router.
Right, right.
If it's going to be
right.
turnkey, it will use a server.
Bert?
I understand that there's a new standard called Matter, and I didn't hear anybody
Yes.
mention that tonight.
Yeah.
That is a
Ladder? L-A-D-D-E-R.
Matter.
No, M-A-T-T-E-R.
Matter.
Yeah. Matter
You want to
is
tell us about
a new standard to try and integrate a lot of IoT type devices, but I have not seen a great deal of information and hardware that is Matter related so far, but I'm not looking for it either.
So the concept, I thought, was to not have to have separate apps for everything.
That's
It'll all
right.
go through one standard.
That's right. But the one standard means that you have a hub that is Matter compatible to make all the other devices it can support function correctly through the one hub.
So does that make all the other devices obsolete now?
No, it would make other hub devices like Google's hub, Amazon's hub, and several other hubs potentially obsolete, but I don't think it's going to catch on that fast. So you're probably talking a year or more off before Matter really might pick up steam, and it's more through the controller panel that all the other devices can be connected to instead of their native panel like Google, Amazon, etc. It becomes a new standardized, unified controller is what it amounts to. And they'll have devices that are made by them that are Matter labeled, and you will also probably start seeing more and more other devices by other manufacturers that say they are Matter compatible. That's as much as I know about it right now.
Thank you. Any other last comments or questions? What do we have? I got to take a quick look and see what we are doing next month.
Nothing.
Bear with me. No, not that one. There we go. Next month is April, and Bert is going to be discussing his experiences with Windows 11 install, right?
Converting from Windows 10 to a new computer on Windows 11.
Okay. That's going to be next month's presentation. And then I think after that, May and June, we do not have any presenters. Would anyone like to step up to the plate and do a presentation in May? Don't everybody put their hands up at once. Jeff, what would you like to do? Got to unmute yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, there we go. No, I'll pass, but thanks.
Well, this is not a open for discussion here. You know, this is just, what are you going to talk about in May or June? So pick a month.
No, I may not even be here then, you know, so I've got to know what the work schedule is and everything.
Oh, okay. Well, you might have to quit work and be available. This is in the evening. Are you working in the evenings?
On call.
We're going to need a presenter for May and June. If nobody steps up to the plate, I will be assigning somebody the position, and you come up with your own topic. So Jeff, be happy. I'll be willing to call on you again and say you might have to do a month because this is us users here come up with what we're going to talk about, and we are doing our own presentation. So everybody's got to be a participant here. Unless I can get Stan to say he's going to be doing something. He's going to tell us how he recharges his cartridges.
Be as much, but I'm not sure I'm going to be in town anyway.
Oh, he always gives us this one.
Yeah.
He forgets that computers work long distance. Even if you're across the other part of the country or the other one, you can still use Wi-Fi and connect up to us on Zoom. This is the wonderful part about Zoom.
That's what I thought I could do too, but when I was down in North Carolina, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Is it just because this? Anyways, all right. Anybody else have any last things they wanted to talk about? Okay, I will stop the recording.